Have you ever met someone who just never stops? Wakes up early, goes to bed late, juggles a million things at once, and seems to carry the weight of the world on their shoulders? Behind all that hustle, sometimes there's a deep pain that no one sees. Today, you're going to hear a truth that almost no one dares to tell. This is Fernanda. She's 40, a teacher, a mom, a wife, a homemaker, a woman who somehow manages to multiply the hours in her day. She lives in the big city where time never stops and the streets never sleep. She gets up before 5 while the city is still asleep. She makes coffee, wakes the kids, gathers her lesson materials, checks the grocery list, makes sure the uniforms are ready, double checks that everyone's got what they need before leaving the house. By 6, she's already out, facing traffic that looks like a sea of red lights and impatient horns. Sometimes the bus takes so long she just wants to give up, but she can't. She doesn't allow exhaustion to outweigh her sense of duty. Fernanda teaches at 2 different schools. In the mornings, she faces a classroom full of little kids, smiles, tears, endless questions, energy that never seems to run out. She tries her best to be present, to teach with kindness, to listen to every story, every question. At lunchtime, in a hurry, she eats a cold snack in a corner of the teacher's lounge. She almost never has time to sit down. Usually, she's replying to family group messages while chewing, GR80 papers, or preparing materials for the next class. In the afternoons and evenings, she faces teenagers, each with their own struggles, dreams, and rebellion. She listens to confessions about bullying, absent parents, and uncertain futures. Even tired, she always tries to offer a word of support. Between schools, Fernanda spends hours in traffic. Miles of stopped cars, smog, hurried people, and horns that seem to never end. Alone in the car, sometimes Fernanda turns on the radio just to drown out her own thoughts. Other times, she cries softly, tears running silently, hidden behind the steering wheel. While stuck in traffic, she remembers her childhood, when she dreamed of being a ballerina or maybe a veterinarian. She remembers her mother saying, "Honey, in life you have to be strong, never give up." And she grew up believing that strength meant never stopping. At the end of the day, when she finally gets home, the work is far from over. Household chores, helping the kids with homework, making dinner, listening to her husband talk about his tough day. She almost never gets a moment just for herself. Sometimes she wonders, will anyone ever notice how tired I really am? But she quickly dismisses the thought. She knows that if she breaks down, everything will fall apart. Fernanda discovered, without even realizing it, that working nonstop was her way of running away. As long as she kept busy, she didn't have to face the emptiness. She didn't have to look at old wounds, the fear of not being enough, the feeling of being lonely even when surrounded by people. Her phone vibrates. More messages, more demands, more lists of things to do. She takes a deep breath and keeps going. Over time, the symptoms started showing up. Insomnia, back pain, heart palpitations, migraines that wouldn't go away. She tried to ignore them, self-medicating, telling herself, "It's just tiredness, it'll pass." Deep down, she knew it was more than that. She started forgetting little things, where she left her keys, a student's name, how she replied to an important message. The guilt kept growing. Am I failing as a mother? As a teacher? As a wife? At work, Fernanda kept on smiling. She comforted students, cheered up colleagues, helped with school events, never said no to anything. Among other moms, she was known as the strong one. In the family group chat, everyone praised her drive, her energy, her ability to handle it all. But nobody knew that, inside, she was tired in a way that went beyond the physical. It was her soul that was exhausted. Sometimes at night, Fernanda would find herself staring at the ceiling, her bedroom dark and silent. That's when the thought would come back. Why is it that even doing so much, I still feel empty? She wanted to ask for help but didn't know how. She felt ashamed of seeming weak. Online, she would read stories from other exhausted women, but she always thought, they have real reasons. I don't. I have a family, a job, my health. I don't have the right to complain. Until one morning, her body just wouldn't cooperate. She got up with difficulty, her heart racing, cold sweats, dizziness. She felt a weight in her chest, weak legs, and an uncontrollable urge to cry. She tried to get ready, but her hands were shaking so much she couldn't even tie her hair. Her husband noticed and asked what was going on. For the first time, Fernanda said in a quiet voice, "I'm not okay." Right then, the floor just disappeared beneath her. She cried out everything she'd kept inside for years. Accepting help was hard. Even harder was admitting to herself that she needed to stop, that she couldn't keep running away. The doctor diagnosed burnout. The therapist explained that this was the result of years of bottling up her feelings, running from pain. At first, Fernanda resisted. She missed appointments, tried to go back to her old pace, but her body and mind wouldn't let her. Little by little, she learned that asking for help isn't weakness. In therapy, she revisited childhood memories, untold traumas, fears hidden behind all that overwork. She started allowing herself small breaks, having coffee in silence, walking in the park, reading a book without guilt, saying no to what wasn't essential. She began sharing chores at home, asked her kids for understanding, had honest conversations with her husband. She had setbacks days when the anxiety returned, when the fear of not being enough felt overwhelming. But over time, she learned to recognize the signals from her own body, to respect her limits. Fernanda didn't become a different person overnight, but she started to celebrate small victories, a full night's sleep, a day without a headache, an afternoon playing with her kids, truly laughing. She realized she could live a new way with more calm, more truth, more presence. Today, Fernanda still works a lot, but she doesn't run from herself as much anymore. She discovered that nobody is strong all the time, and that's okay. She understood that her worth isn't measured by how many tasks she gets done, but by the courage to be real. If you also feel like you're always running from yourself, know this: stopping is hard, but pretending costs so much more. Allow yourself to feel, to ask for help, to rest. If this story touched your heart, write in the comments, "I don't need to run anymore either." Share this video with someone who seems unstoppable, but maybe just needs a hug. On Silent Wounds, no one has to pretend to be invincible. I'll leave in the description another video. She was always smiling until the day she collapsed alone. It's the story of a friend of mine. You should really watch it. See you tomorrow in the next video. A warm hug from your friend, Elena Gray.